This workout is brought to you courtesy of my meal planning mastery system. So stay tuned to the end of the workout to find out how you can create less stress and save money and eat more healthfully when you get a little bit more organized through your meal planning. Now let's get started. Today, we're going to get started on our hands and knees, making sure those knees are cushioned by your mat. And let's start with some cat-cows. So inhale, tucking toes, dropping the belly button as you lift the throat in a gaze. Every exhale, taking a gaze between your thighs as you round through the middle of the back, stretching out into the spine. Preparing the body for a lot of movement today, starting with that spinal column. So every inhale, drop the belly, really press those toes actively into the ground to find a little bit more extension. And see if you can separate those vertebral discs from each other, creating more space, more lubrication. Good, last one. Good. Keeping your wrists right underneath your shoulders. Knees are going to stay underneath the hips, but as you tuck those toes, we're going to lift the knees and just hover them just right off the ground, not very far at all. From here, keeping the knees as low as is comfortable, we're going to press the hips back, coming into our bear pose. So we still keep a deep bend in the knees. We're draping that chest towards the thighs, and then come back into that little hover. So it's almost like alternating between a downward facing dog and a plank, but we're keeping the knees bent the whole time. You got a little extra challenge for that core by having those knees hovering right above the ground. Nice. Inhaling as you take it back into that bear pose. And your exhale takes you back into that kind of modified plank or elevated plank maybe, because I don't think it's any easier. Nice. Making sure we're coming into our Ujjayi yoga breath, which is in and out through the nose, allowing that breath to be audible. We have a really powerful practice today, so we're going to rely on that deep, pure breath pattern to help power us through. Very good. From here, we're going to straighten the legs out. Time to come into our downward facing dog, making sure those fingers are spread nice and wide. You're rolling more of the weight towards the finger pads, especially the space between the first or the pointer finger and the thumb, and rolling more into the pads of those fingers as we pedal out that dog. Good. Creating as much space as possible between the shoulders and ears, just letting that chest reach towards the thighs. Still keeping just enough of a pull into the belly button that we don't hyperextend in the back and don't arch the back. Maybe swaying the hips side to side. So we begin to find some length in that spine, length in the hamstrings. Good. Centering those hips now, taking those legs as straight as they want to go for now. We're going to take the right hand and reach over towards the left ankle or shin, whatever's available. Just give yourself a little twist, but then see if you could straighten your heart again so that rather than kind of pulling over towards that one side, the left side, you're squaring those shoulders out, getting a little twist in the back. And then placing the right hand firmly on the ground, we'll take that over to the left. Again, notice if the whole body is falling over towards the opposite direction. See if you can kind of readjust. Left hand to right ankle. Good, give yourself a little pull as you do that. And then repositioning both hands to the mat. We're going to come back into all fours, firing up a little bit more into the abdominals and the muscles in the low back. Coming into spinal balance next. So fingers spin really wide on the left hand since they're supporting more weight. Right fingertips reach forward. You're going to turn the palm face in so the thumb is on facing up towards the sky. And then left leg extends behind you. For spinal balance, I like to have my foot flexed when I'm just holding this in opposition. Helps me feel more anchored and stable. It's really energizing through that leg. Belly is pulling in and up. Notice if you're kind of cockeyed, those obliques are fighting hard to keep you straight, and that's what we're trying to go for. But we do want to keep that breath going. So as you feel the body start to heat up, let's keep that breath going. Good. From here, we're going to add on the exhale, taking knee towards elbow. Good. Returning it back on the inhale. Exhale, you're going to take it out wide and then reach it forward and back. Good. Now, take that again. So knee to elbow, reach it long. Opposite sides firing away. Sculpting the sides of your waist here. So good for making sure the muscles in your back are balanced. Well, and in your front, but many times back pain can be a result of having imbalanced muscles all the way around the core. Last one, please. You got it. Time to do the other side. So this time it's left hand forward, right leg extends back. Drop that right hip a little if you notice that it's hiking up. So the belly button is spinning straight down towards the ground, but then lifting, just like we're riding up a little elevator. Back of the neck is long. We're still breathing. We're really channeling our attention and our awareness into the abdominals, the pelvis, and the low back to keep everything as straight and still as possible. And then on that next exhale, we're taking elbow to knee, straighten back out in the inhale. Exhale, open wide, return to that starting point. Knee to elbow, rounding through the spine, back to forward and back. Reach them wide away from each other. Pull it back through. Good. Use that breath to revive you. And then power up as you abduct the arm and the leg away from each other. Let's find one more. And it's time to set those hands and knees down on the ground. We'll tuck the toes. One more downward facing dog to get us going. Softening into the knees, let's take a peek between the hands and then walk or jump the feet between the hands. We're going to take a reverse swan dive to come up. So legs straighten, back is flat. You're feeling this at the back of your hamstrings as you fly those arms up overhead. Press the hip points forward, shoulders down and back as you find a little back bend. Exhale, hands to prayer, and it's time to come into our flow. Moving in right into our sun salutations, we're going through full warrior series. So we inhale, sweeping the arms up, drop the shoulder blades down. Exhale, the legs stay as straight as possible without straining as we bow to the earth. Inhale, we're lifting into a half back or a half lift. So hands find the shins, pressing the arms long. Exhale, bow forward. Plant the hands on either side of the feet. And you can walk the feet back one at a time into your plank position. You're always welcome to take your knees to the ground as we chaturanga or lower down. Elbows hug next to the rib cage. So we're feeling this in the back of the arms. And then inhale, untuck the toes. So tops the feet on the mat as we press up into a little cobra. Drawing the shoulder heads back, lifting the gaze as though you could try to separate the chin away from the chest. And then exhale, tucking those toes. Return to downward facing dog. Hips lift high. Reach the tailbone and the sits bones a little bit higher towards the sky. From here on an inhale, keeping the hips squared. So belly button stays pointing down towards the ground as you lift the right leg. So you're feeling this in the back of the left calf. And then we're going to challenge ourselves to go as slow as possible. So it's all about strength instead of momentum as we step that right foot through between the hands. So the shoulders rock forward above the wrists. We're moving into our warrior one. So the left foot steps back at a 45-degree angle, pressing the back edge of that foot into the mat. Keeping the front knee bent, we're going to press up strong on the inhale and see if you can square that left hip a little bit more towards the front. If it doesn't completely want to parallel the right, that's okay. It could just mean we're a little bit tight in our hips today. That's all right. And then on the exhale, we're going to open it up to our warrior two. So a few breaths here in our warrior two. So this time the belly goes open, so that left hip is drawing back, as though left hip and right hip were going single file down a railroad track that's facing towards the top of your mat. There it is. And moving into extended side angle. Now I am going to show you several options for that. We will be here for several breaths, so you find the one that works best for you. Basic extended side angle, elbow to thigh. It's important that we spin away from the thigh to really deepen into this twist. This practice is really focused on twists. And then option with that top hand, you can keep it here, or for a little bit more length in the side body, you can spin that palm face down, fingertips towards the front edge of your mat. Whatever you're doing, you're spiraling away from that bottom thigh. And of course, that bottom hand can come down to the instep here if you prefer. Or even if you typically take a half bind or full bind here, go ahead. But I challenge you, rather than just finding the most advanced version that you can tolerate, find the version that allows you to get the fullest twist. Because when we progress to the next layer without really executing it properly, we're not getting as much benefit as we would if we took maybe the layer before that and really executed it properly. One more powerful breath here. I am going to offer you a little challenge here. If that top arm is overhead, if you want a little extra core challenge, right arm, bottom arm comes next to the bottom ear. So you're extending both fingertips long, framing that head between the biceps, still spiraling that top shoulder back, and then powerful press back up into warrior two. From here, we're going to come into a reverse warrior. Front palm flips up to the sky. We reach forward first and then up and back, really pressing up. So pulling the heart up towards the sky before you worry about how far back we're going. We want to create a lot of space in that lower back so as not to compress it. Very nice. Now from here, we're going to do something a little bit funny. We're going to open our arms back up to the sides and then see if you can reach your opposite hand behind you. Find it behind your back. And then find that reverse warrior again. So almost a little bit of a twist here. Fantastic. We're going to open back up, planting our hands on either side of the feet. It's time to step back into that plank. Pause for a beat here at your plank. Find your breath. Pointing your tailbone a little bit further down towards the back edge of your mat. Now let's make sure we really hug the elbows in. You want to feel the inner edge of your biceps making contact with the ribs as you lower down. Now we're avoiding having the hips touch before the chest if at all possible. Remember, you can always have your knees on the ground for this series. And we'll come up into maybe our upward facing dog, so rolling onto the top of the feet. Really important here that you feel like you're pressing the ground away from you so as to draw the shoulder heads away from the ears. Very nice. I'm going to give you an extra layer here if you want it as you tuck those toes before we come to down dog. See if you can return to that half hover, so kind of your chaturanga push-up. Maybe arms come towards parallel, or top arm comes towards parallel or 90 degrees. There we go. Press up strong, strong, strong. Whew, in your downward facing dog. It's time to do the other side. So on an inhale, remember we keep the hips squared as we lift that left leg. So belly button is facing towards the earth. Feel a little stretch here on the right side of the calf. It's so good for your calf muscles. And then we'll press it forward to step between the hands. That back foot pivots as we press up strong into our warrior one. We're feeling strength from the ground. We're drawing that strength up through our feet, into our legs, up the torso, and out through the arms. Every part of our body is intentional. Even though it's not moving, we're very aware of what the body is doing in space, and we're contracting everything. Opening on the exhale to warrior two. So belly button spins over towards the right side of the room. Make sure that your left leg didn't follow with. You're going to keep that left knee spinning towards the left side of the mat. Stretching from fingertip to fingertip, it's time to move into extended side angle. So whatever you did on the other side, perhaps you had fingertips reaching up, maybe top arm reached more towards the top edge of your mat. Maybe you took bottom hand to the instep, but make sure whatever you're doing that we're really focusing more on rotating the heart up towards the sky. So kind of pulling away from that thigh. Deep breath. Let's return to that Ujjayi breath if we've lost it. So we feel the sound. We both feel it and hear maybe the sound of an ocean wave. That's what it always reminds me of, at the back of our throat. Grace under pressure. 2 more breaths here, and then I'll offer that little core challenge if you did it on side 1. And let's take that now. So bottom arm reaches forward, top arm reaches forward, shoulders pull away from the ears. Keep breathing as you find that strength and length in the side of the body. And then exhale, press back up into warrior 2. Great job. We're going to flip that front palm. It's time to come into our reverse warrior, lifting up first like you have a little string, pulling your chest towards the sky, and then swooping back, maintaining that nice deep bend in the front knee. Back leg is still really active, so feel the back edge of that right foot pressing down into the ground. Good, coming up tall, you're going to take the arms out wide, and then opposite forearm reaches behind back as you spiral palm faces down behind you. Keep breathing, keep lifting that heart towards the sky. Exhale, pulls you back up tall. We're going to take another vinyasa, so step back into your plank. Again, maybe a little half push-up here on your way back up to down dog. And let's catch our breath here in down dog. A nice deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, just sigh it out through the mouth. We'll do that 2 more times to release some heat because we still have a nice little challenge ahead of us. I'll just put it that way. Good. And then inhale, take a look between the hands. Let's try jumping the feet lightly if that's available to you. Pulling the abdominals in. And the little half lift, so hands to shins. Go so straight along the back of the spine and then melt it forward, noticing the back of the hamstrings start to open up a little bit. And then firm up in the back of the legs as you root those feet into the ground. Nice flat back as we rise all the way up. And take a little back bend here, palms touch, hip bones press forward, and we'll come right back up to where we started. Hands in front of heart on the exhale. How are you doing? It's so good to build up some heat in our bodies. It can help just get rid of any nervous energy lingering and help refocus, and it can just really feel really cleansing. So we have a little bit more work to do. From here, we're going to go ahead and come back into our down dog. We're going to get there through a sun salutation. So inhale, sweeping arms up. Exhale, go ahead and melt it down. Maybe floating the feet back if that's available to you this time. We're going to lower down. Maybe we'll lower only part of the way if we wanted that extra challenge. Coming back onto the tops of the feet, lifting into the heart, grow long in the spine. Exhale, tuck the toes. Option to add that little half push-up, elbows squeeze in towards the ribs. We're making our way back to downward facing dog. Wonderful. A little core series here before we move into kind of a creative flow centered around wild thing. So on an inhale, we're going to sweep the leg up to the sky. Again, just squaring those hips off so we find length in the left leg. Exhale, rounding in the spine as we shift the weight forward. Knee moves towards nose. And then we're actually going to keep it here. We're going to windshield wiper that knee from right to left to right to left. Let's do that one more time. A little rotation here. Fantastic. Sweep that leg behind you on the inhale. This time we do stack the hips. So we kind of open the right hip up so you feel them stacked vertically on top of each other. Belly button moves away. We bend into the right knee. Let's take some hip circles here. Still trying to square up those shoulders. So notice that shoulder came open with you. And reverse direction. it's time to come into Wild Thing if that's part of your practice. So we drop that foot until it's really, really heavy. We get light in that outside hand and then drop down if that feels comfortable. Really stretching that hand towards the front of your mat. Feels so good. And then very carefully make sure you're pressing the foot into the earth to really get strong here. And then we unflip your dog, so spiral that leg around. But listen carefully, we're going to shift the weight forward. That right leg centers across the body, so moves across the midline of the body. And then only if you need a little more, you're going to, on the exhale, give that leg a little lift off the ground, just a touch. It may just be like a half an inch for a half a second, all good. So I am lowering and lifting just for a second. And then if I wanted more still, squeezing the elbows in once my leg is on the ground again. I'm going to do a little half chaturanga push-up. Maybe it's just an inch down, press back up. Maybe I lift that leg again. Very good, chaturanga, half push-up, press back up. Last time, I'm going to lift that leg if you can, even if it's just energetically. Start to lower the chest down just even an inch. Press back up. And then let's go all the way down onto the ground. We'll actually come onto the top of the foot. So we untuck those toes and just find a nice little IT band stretch here, seeing if you can draw that right hip back, left hip forward. Very nice. And then this time we're going to tuck the back toes again, and then just very carefully maneuver out of this back to a three-legged downward facing dog. And then let's just go ahead and set that right leg down on the ground. Pedaling those feet out for a moment. And then it's time to do the other side. So left leg lifts on the inhale. We press forward knee to nose, so really pull that knee as far towards the nose as possible. And then we go left and right, and left and right. We exhale as we tap. We inhale in between. Last time. There it is. We reach that leg back behind us now in the inhale. This time we open left hip above right, so belly button kind of falls over towards the left, points to the left, bending into the left knee. Let's create some hip circles here to lubricate those hip joints. They are working hard today. And the other direction will even us out. And seeing if you can pull the hip bones apart a little bit wider. Get really heavy with that top foot until you come to flip your dog in a Wild Thing. Good, really lifting the hips here, even as you stretch that top arm towards the front of your mat. Good, very carefully pressing the earth away from you with that bottom foot as the top leg comes up and around. Hands get recentered as you press forward. Take that leg, thread it through to the other side. Get squaring off on those shoulders. Powerful exhale. Maybe you just pretend to lift that leg off the ground. I don't care whether you actually do or not. Same muscles are working, rather, that leg moves at all or not. And then this time, maybe 3 little chaturanga push-ups, just a tiny lower down, press back up, lift that leg again. How about 2 more, even if they're just in your mind? Keep breathing. That breath will keep you calm and sane. Good. Channeling that zen even under pressure, and let's go ahead and lower down. That feels nice. Untuck those toes to release those hips. Just feeling everything release and recover. There it is. We'll tuck those back toes again, pressing up, taking it into our 3-legged dog. And then let's just set that leg down. We're going to look between the hands and then go ahead and press or step the feet, through between the hands. Very nice. From here, we're going to come all the way up. Little back bend, press palms together, shoulders plug down away from the ears. Come up tall and exhale, hands to heart. From here, we're moving into powerful flow around warrior 3 with some lunges and rotations. So just follow along carefully. We're going to start with our warrior 3, just stepping forward. So right leg comes behind you. So just hinging forward, flexing into that right leg. We're going to keep the arms out like airplane arms today. Seeing if we can maintain the same straight line from the back of our head all the way to the back of the heel. Belly button pulls in as we play with how low we want to go. That standing leg is staying straight for now. And then as you come back up, see if you can just step straight out and straight back into a lunge as you rotate right arm back, left arm forward into a rotation. So we're in a high lunge. We're on the balls of both feet, and we're rotating towards that front right leg. Good. Really lifting the back knee this time. Elbow over thigh, hands pressed together and we lift into the chest, using that elbow pressing in towards that thigh to get a little bit more lift. Good. We're going to untangle those arms now, reaching fingertips up, and then draw them towards your sides and behind your low back. We're going to clasp our hands here, and we can either clasp fingers, but if it's available, if you have the opening in your chest, see if you can even get the heels of your hands together, so the really kind of bottom portion of your palms to touch as well, as we come into some little bows into our humble warrior. So we bow towards the inside of the leg, trying to avoid that temptation to just rest on the leg. We want to kind of bow right in, and then powerful exhales, we lift back up. We're going to do that 2 more times. So inhale, straightest back that you can find. Exhale, lift back up. I know this is our challenge point. If you can do this, you can make it through. You're going to feel so good. It's the hardest thing we'll do. And then from here, we're going to take both hands, plant them down on the ground, press up into your standing splits. And then from here, the leg that's lifted, we're just going to reach it across as we bend both knees and touch the knee towards the outside of the standing leg. Press back up into standing splits. Exhale back to the outside of the leg. Let's do that 1 more time. And then take that top leg down by the other one. Stay here just a moment in that forward fold. And then we're going to roll up 1 vertebrae. So this time we round, rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time. Knees can bend. Head is the last thing to come up. Top here, we're going to interlace fingers, point your fingers, reach back up towards the sky though. And we're going to take a nice side bend. So planting the feet firmly into the ground, reaching to one side. Exhale back up towards the center. Try the other side. Drawing shoulders down away from the ears, planting that opposite foot down into the ground. Find a little bit more space. Coming back up on the exhale. We'll do that 2 more times. Exhale brings you tall. Reach far. And the way that you can reach further, let's do the other side, is by grounding down more into the ground with your feet. So the more rooted you feel with the feet, the more secure and anchored to what is stable, the more freedom and safety you have to go further in your practice. And I love extending that metaphor outside the mat as well. Fantastic. It's time to do the other side. I didn't forget about it. So we're taking that opposite leg behind you now for your warrior 3. Airplane arms out to the side to help assist with balance. Drop that top hip a little bit more than you think you need to. Pull the belly button away from the ground, flexing into that back foot. And then as you start to tilt up, see if you can keep the arms out to the side as you step back into your high lunge. All 10 toes face forward as you move into a rotation towards that opposite leg. Really lifting through the back leg. So notice if you're getting kind of floppy here with the back leg. Let's be active and strong and purposeful. Every part of the body has a sense of purpose here. And then hooking elbow over thigh. Let's come into our prayer twist. Keep breathing steadily. That breath is so important to maintain your composure in this flow. We're going to unwind those arms, reach it up, and then let's see if you can interlace the more unusual way of your hands this time. Most of us tend to have one preference which way our dominant hand fits. We're going to try to even that out. Again, if you can get the palms to touch all the way, that's amazing. If not, don't worry about it. Bowing forward, humble warrior on the inhale. Reaching right towards the inside of that thigh. It's a powerful exhale back up to the sky. 2 more times. We know where we're going now. Our breath gives us the courage and the fuel to do this. Last time. So great. We're going to release the interlace of the hands, this time reaching down towards the ground as we move into standing splits. That back leg just reaches up towards the sky. On the inhale, exhale, bend both knees, reaching the top leg to the outside of the standing leg. Inhale, back into that standing split pose. 2 more times. Here's that last one. You got it. And let's go ahead and hit that leg down and roll up 1 bone at a time. We have a little bit more work to do. You are doing so amazing. We're going to drop down into our chair pose. Sweeping the arms behind us as we go a little bit lower. Make sure the weight is in the back of the heels. Exhale, come up just a little bit taller. Inhale, sink it low. Exhale, lift and hold. Hands come to prayer. We're going to hook left elbow over right. And then again, press away from the thighs. So with these twists, we really want to create that sensation of pressing away from whatever our anchor point is that we're hooking around. That's going to give us deeper rotation. We can use that kind of as a tool to our advantage to get a little bit more out of it. Very nice. In the inhale, we're going to untwist, come back towards chair pose, hands to heart. Let's take it to the other side. I know those legs, they're just getting stronger. What you feel is just you getting stronger. That's all there is to it. Back towards the midline, and let's fold forward on the exhale. Let it go. You did that so well. Why not do it again and add on? So we're going to move back to that chair pose. Once we feel stable, right leg is going to lift off the ground as we take it over the left, wrapping around maybe once, or maybe even wrap the toes around the back of the calf. And then from here, we're going to take left arm under right. And if you have the ability to join fingertips to the inside edge of that opposite thumb, go ahead and do that. If not, no worries. From here, we sink a little lower into our chair as we squeeze those legs together, compressing right leg towards left. And then see if you can lift the elbows while dropping the shoulders down, increasing the stretch along the upper back. Keep in our chair pose. Keep with those eagle arms and legs. Give it one more little squeeze. And keeping the arms as they are, I want you to unwrap that top leg. You're going to reach up behind you into a warrior 3. We're going to keep those eagle arms. So we're flexing that back foot really hard, dropping that top hip down, pulling belly button in. We're going to extend the elbows forward, but draw the shoulders down. And another breath here. And then keeping the arms where they are, step all the way back into a crescent lunge. All 10 toes face forward. Lift those elbows, drop the shoulders, and then find your heart reaching towards the sky as we find a little back bend with these eagle arms. Nice deep Ujjayi breath. Coming back upright, we're going to unwind those arms, reaching towards the ground. You rotate towards that front knee. And then moving all the way down onto the ground. So that back knee comes down, moving into our twisted monkey. So good for stretching out the quads, further exploring the concepts of twist today. Another couple of breaths here. This feels so good, but we do have the other side to do still. So very gently releasing hold of that foot, allowing it to just fall carefully to the ground. We'll tuck the toes and we'll make our way back into a plank. Let's add a little vinyasa, or you can skip it if you're getting tired. Belly button hovers up as high as the chest. Good. Inhale, upward facing dog. Maybe an optional little half chaturanga on your way back to downward facing dog. And this time we're going to take a look between the hands. Go ahead and step or jump the feet through. Very nice. From here we take eagle again. So finding chair pose as our starting point. And we'll take the opposite leg this time, wrapping it around. Arms follow suit, pressing into each other. So we're picking up where we left off with the eagle series on side one. And then unwrap, coming into warrior three. Drop that top hip lower than you want to. It's what makes it more challenging for that booty. Draw the belly button in, lengthen through the crown of the head. Really flex that back foot hard behind you. And then watching your step, we're going to come upright and then start to step all the way back into the crescent lunge. So 10 toes forward, elbows lift up, shoulders draw down as you lift your heart. Find a back bend with eagle arms. And as you return the crown of the head above the waist, we'll release hold of that eagle wrap and find a rotation with that top hand towards the, coming out towards the sky, bottom hand on the ground. From here, moving into low lunge, take a knee down, top of the foot unwinds onto the ground, and then we're moving into our twisted monkey. A couple of breaths to enjoy this sensation. We work, but we also recover. We give, but we also receive. And then gently letting that leg fall back to the earth. We'll step back into our plank. Let's find one more vinyasa before we move into our cool down. Maybe that extra little bonus chaturanga push-up. Good. Press it back up and then just come to all fours. We're going to add another twist here, this time releasing into the upper shoulders and back. So inhale, right arm reaches up towards the sky. Exhale, come all the way down into the back of that shoulder. Noticing if your hips fell over to one side. See if you can move them back. Possibly they've moved over to the left side. See if you can move them back to the right side to get even more benefit out of this stretch. Now do me a favor this time. I'd like the left arm to stay super active today. So I'd like that elbow to spin up towards the ceiling. So note if it's just kind of hanging out passive towards the ground. Really spiral it all the way up. Spread the fingers wide and actually push your hand down into the ground as though you could get that ground to move an inch or two lower. Notice how much more of a twist you feel when you do this. Nice deep breath as you feel this stretch all the way along the upper back and shoulders. Last couple of breaths here. And then let's plant that hand. We'll take it to the other side. So left hand reaches up on the inhale to prepare. Exhale, threading it through, dropping that shoulder down. And then again, spinning right elbow all the way up above the wrist. Fingers are wide and you're using a little bit of strength in that right arm to press down to extend that tailbone even further away from the right hand. So it's like it's reaching towards the back edge of your mat. Good, and hand finds the mat again. Let's stretch it back into a child's pose. Easing out of our practice. Just taking a moment to observe what the body has accomplished, but really what the mind and spirit have accomplished as well. The body only did what it did because your mind, your spirit made the choice. So recognizing that inner resolve, knowing that when you strengthen the inner, you strengthen the outer. But conversely, once you start to realize that cause and effect and strengthen the outer, it also gives you that strength you need to translate over into other areas of your life. Finding your inner power, finding your resilience. Coming up onto little fingertips here, so reaching the palms up away from the ground, forming little tents with your fingers, pressing them down as you release into the shoulders, underarm area, chest. And this is where I'm going to leave you. You are welcome to stay here, maybe placing the palms back down and enjoy an extended period of cooling down and receiving and integrating with your body. Or if you'd like to go ahead and move on with your day, go ahead and press back up into seated. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for joining me for this workout. I love being able to share these workouts with you free of charge. Now, this channel is made possible by the support of people just like you who are looking to take their healthy habits to the next level through programs like the Meal Planning Mastery. I would love to share a little bit about this system with you if you are looking to simplify how you create your healthy meals. And this is a system all about organization around those healthy swaps that you already know that you need to make, but maybe you're just not doing. So because it's an organization system, it works with any dietary restrictions as well as any range of fussy or different requirements of nutrition within your household. In fact, it's really designed to be just the thing you need if you have multiple picky eaters in your household. Stay tuned.